Alright, you are watching and listening to Fat Bidin Knows Everything, because I actually know everything. This week, I was hoping to actually talk about something other than COVID-19, other than the coronavirus, and I wanted to talk about Malaysian politics and the issue that we've had with the controversy that we've had with Parliament and the vote of no confidence against the current Prime Minister and all that. But you know what? At the end of the day, all that is going to be related to COVID-19 anyway. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about. And this week's episode is going to be brought to you by Lepat Pisang. Right. When I noticed in the media, in the news, that news about COVID-19 and the coronavirus started dropping in its priority, and instead taking its place was actually news about politics, about, news about the Sheraton move started coming up again, how the government was taken through a backdoor tactics, and Mahathir trying to come up with a vote of no confidence, a motion of no confidence in Parliament. I was thinking, hey, you know what? Maybe everything is going back to normal. The country has already declared the CMCO, Conditional Movement Control Order, or the PKPB, and everybody's starting to go back to work. Industries are starting to open up. We can start eating in restaurants again, right? I thought everything's going to go back to normal, because finally political news is slowly starting to rise up and getting into the headlines again, right? So we all know about the motion of no confidence that Pakatan Harapan is trying to get against Muhyiddin and his new administration in Parliament, right? Then there was this big controversy. They moved it in. They called for the motion. The Dewan Rakyat Speaker said, okay, we will include it. And then what did the government of the day do? Said, cannot. We are only going to talk about important stuff. And this one, we're not going to discuss it. We're going to open Parliament only for one day, which is happening on the day that I'm shooting this, okay, May 18, right? And nothing else is going to be discussed. And everybody was like, what the hell, no way, man, Parliament is supposed to be where you discuss this kind of thing. You see, you're trying to make use of the situation. See, that's why I didn't want to talk about COVID-19, but at the end of the day, what do you guys think? Do you think that the government is using this pandemic situation to curb democracy in Malaysia? Because they say, oh no, you know what, this COVID-19 pandemic, social distancing is dangerous together a long time in a enclosed area, so one day only. And everybody was like, what, you can't do that. Then to make things even worse, they finally at the last minute declared that, okay, Parliament, they're not going to be talking about anything at all, no tabling of anything. They're only going to go in to listen to the Agong give his presentation, right? And everybody goes back. Now, what the hell? Right? So everybody's mad. I'm mad. Right? If you can gather people, 20 people for Hari Raya, right? And this is going to happen all around the country, why can't you have Dewan Rakyat sitting that's proper, where you can spend time talking about important stuff like a motion of no confidence against the Prime Minister, right? In a very safe setting, right? Mahathir came out and did a press conference and said, hey, everything went smoothly, temperatures were checked, everybody wore masks, there was social distancing, everybody sat more than 1 meter apart. Of course, everybody couldn't fit into the hall because everybody had to make space, right? So there were some members of Parliament who sat at the outside at the observation hall, which these included like some top government officials, some top UMNO politicians, right, who have no position in UMNO, like Zahid, no position in the government, like Zahid Hamidi and all. They had to sit outside, right? Excuse me. Right? So I don't know. I kind of feel that the current government could be taking advantage of the pandemic situation, and seeing that MKN is making all the decisions. MKN, right? Majlis Keselamatan Negara, or the NSC, the National Security Council, during a pandemic, they make a lot of decisions, which is what the MKN or NSC is supposed to do. And remember when it was Najib's administration that mooted the idea of the NSC and enacted it, everybody was scared that this could be used as a way to take over the government, take control of the country if there's anything that's threatening their position as the government at that time. Because under the NSC, the Prime Minister and a council which he selects becomes the end all and be all when it comes to deciding on what happens to the country in that current situation. And right now we are listening to the MKN, we are listening to the NSC, right? So I understand that it hasn't gotten to a point where it's like emergency and then like they take over the country. It hasn't happened like that, right? Everything's been pretty transparent. There have been regular press conferences by the ministers and the Prime Minister and all that. But do you think that maybe they're still also trying to take advantage of this pandemic situation to curb democracy, to curb freedom of speech? They didn't allow journalists to go into parliament, right? They only allowed like state-sanctioned media, the press, right, like Bernama and RTM to go in. Journalists have been saying also that some of the press conferences done on the daily press conferences done by the ministers, sometimes they don't even let like non-state sanctioned media inside. So I don't know, it could be a way for them, an excuse for them to say, hey, look, we're in a pandemic, we can't have a proper parliamentary sitting, right? Hey, we're in a pandemic, we're going to collect all your personal data, right? Because if you go to a restaurant or you go anywhere, you have to put in your name and phone number and all that. And they've created like all these apps like MyTrace and Selangkah in Selangor and all that to trace where you are, right? No, for the most part, Malaysians are not making noise because they understand that it could also be for safety and for our health, right? Because if a cluster breaks out, they need to contact people, right? They need to do testing and all that. So we kind of understand, but do we really trust these people who are collecting our data, right? I don't know. Why would they need to collect our data anyway? Because did any of you, let me ask you a question, did any of you out there ever subscribe to get messages from MKN or the NSC through our phones? I don't think I ever did, but I'm still getting daily messages from MKN telling us what to do during the pandemic, right? Yeah. So they have ways to do this, right? Yeah. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that the government is taking advantage of this pandemic situation to curb democracy? I would like to hear what your thoughts are. Okay, so please comment, send me messages, let me know what you think. I'm gonna make it a discussion. Okay, so now we're going to go into the section where I highlight something that I find interesting. And I'm going to do like very, very shameless self-promotion here. Bidin, in collaboration with disinfect.com, has launched a new news and current affairs talk show, a weekly news and current affairs talk show. It talks about news and happenings about COVID-19 and coronavirus situation in Malaysia, Southeast Asia, and around the world, right? It's hosted by me, right, and my producer and beautiful wife, Cheryl A. Bustaman. We do it on a regular basis, and we try to counter we're trying to solve the infodemic problem. We're trying to counter misinformation and disinformation out there that's related to COVID-19 and the coronavirus. And in every episode, we give you highlights of the day, like news of the week and all that. And we also talk to a panel of journalists, professional journalists who work who work for an array of different media organizations, news organizations around Malaysia and also internationally, who's covering the situation. And we talk to them about issues about COVID-19. And who better do we get information from if not journalists on the ground, right? So they are going to give us their perspective every week, depending on the topic of the week and depending on the latest news of COVID-19. And we also kind of like, at the end of the day, try to give you advice on who to trust, where do you get credible information and all that. Okay, so that program is called Berita Busters. Right, it's a bilingual program in Malay and in English. You can watch it on our YouTube channel, of course. Subscribe and get notifications if you want to follow us here. You can also watch it on our Facebook page. You can also watch it, listen to it as a podcast on SoundCloud or on Spotify. We are on Spotify. We are also on iTunes. Just search for Bidin and you'll get the podcast. And we are also on disinfect.com. Right, disinfect.com. So Berita Busters, right? There's something strange with the news in your neighborhood. Who are you gonna listen to? Burrito Busters, right? Okay, so that's it. I think this is going to be the last Fat Bidin Knows Everything episode in the fasting month. And later on, you're going to get more varieties of food. You can see me eat more varieties of food because it's, you know, after Raya, and finally can eat in the daytime. So that's it. You've been watching. Oh, thumbs up if you like the video. Thumbs down if you don't like it. Subscribe. Follow us on all our social media platforms. It's at FatBidin. Or go to fatbidin.com to get everything. You've been watching and listening to Fat Bidin Knows Everything. I'm Zain Azli, the Papi Sang. I've got 3 kids, 1 wife, and me to support. So you've got to, like, you know, help fund my life. So you actually can go to the Fat Bidin e-store, right? I'm gonna link it below, right? And you can get actually like Fat Bidin merchandise, right? And most of it are, well, actually books. I used to sell DVDs and films and all that, but hey, everything's available on YouTube now. So now if you want to get Fat Bidin merchandise, it's mostly books. So I've got books here, See, like this book. This is called The Adventures of a Keralite in Afghanistan. It's a graphic novel, see, graphic novel which I wrote and illustrated with my buddy Apan, right? It's a non-fiction one. It's about my time in Afghanistan shooting a documentary for a month when I was there. See, I'm a war journalist, right? So it's a really good book, right? I've got this non-fiction novel. It's called Operation Nasi Kerabu, Finding Patani in an Islamic Insurgency. This book I wrote because I spent some time in southern Thailand where there's a war there. You all know there's a war there, right? In Patani, right? I shot a documentary there which was banned for broadcast, but hey, they allowed me to publish a book. And if you get the book, there is a QR code at the back, right? There's a QR code at the back which allows you to watch it for free online. Oh, where's the QR code? Where's the QR code? Ah, there's the QR code, right? It's online, meaning you scan the QR code, you go to my YouTube channel. Okay, I've got another book. This is called Journo Dad, The Chronicles of a Journalist Who Happens to Be a Father. It's a compilation of my articles, my column when I was writing for the Malaysian Insider. It's all about like me being a journalist and raising a family at the same time. It's really funny. It's funny. My best-selling book, Liberal, Malay and Malaysian, Writings of a Walking Contradiction. This is a compilation also of my column in the Malaysian Insider. This one focuses more on like politics, race, demonstration, democracy and religion and things like that. It's funny too. All my books are funny because I'm a funny guy, right? Yes, I am. And if you like films, I sell this book. See, I wrote this book with my buddy Wan Chun Hong. It's a guide to filmmaking, indie filmmaking. Every chapter talks about one aspect of filmmaking, and every chapter also interviews one like a really prominent Malaysian filmmaker. It's really good. You can get all these books at the Fat Bidin e-store. Come on, feed my kids.